Busted, everybody. I've had the privilege of being surrounded by fearless, strong women all my life, and it's a wonderful privilege to have. From my grandma Stuart, to my beautiful mother, to my sister, who is, frankly, very bold and brutally frank. And she is the type of person that if you're going to buy a used car, you would like to have her with you. You'll get the best deal. But the yarn I want to spin to you tonight is about my beautiful wife, who's a very, very fearless Western Australian woman, and a proud Dockers supporter. So, anyway, let me set the scene. It's 2:00 in the morning. I'm on my back, fast asleep, enjoying a dream about sitting in a hot, warm jacuzzi, when I feel a little nudge that wakes me up. And I says to my wife, I'm not snoring. She says, babe, I think I'm having the baby. So I say to her, well, you could have told me something. It's been 9 months. What's going on? She said, no, my waters are broke. Ah, that's where the jacuzzi situation. To be honest, I thought she'd just weed the bed, which she does sometimes, but we won't talk about that. So she jumps out of bed. She sort of does a little run around in the bedroom, and I think I maybe followed her a little bit, running around in circles. And then she darts off and she says, get the bag. Now, guys in the room, partners in the room, if you've been through this situation for 9 months, she'd been telling me about this bag. What was in the bag, where the bag was, what to do with the bag, how to find it. At that moment in time, I could not remember where the bag was. And I'm not fearless, to be honest, and I was not going to ask her at this point in time where the bag is. So with that, I thought, I'll keep my mouth shut. That's the best thing to do in this situation. She heads down the corridor of our house, and she runs and she jumps on the toilet. Again, being a man, I think to myself, strange time to go to the toilet, but I'm not going to judge. So she's sitting on the toilet, and she is just relaxed and quite fearless at this point, the opposite to me. So she's got her knickers and her pyjamas around her ankles, and she says to me, quick, rip them off. And I think to myself, hey, haven't heard that for 9 months. She's like, no, rip them off. I need to get in the bath. So I ripped them off, and she jumped in the bath. Again, I'm thinking, why is she jumping in the bath? It's a strange time. Do I get some candles, put on a bit of music? I don't know what's happening. I said, why are you getting in the bath? She's like, we've got new carpets. I want to keep everything together. Now, that is an ingenuity. That's a man in that situation would never think of that. So she jumps in the bath. So I'm thinking, it's all good. I've been preparing for this movement. Just breathe. She says to me, you just breathe. So I'm like, okay, I'm breathing. This is good, I'm breathing. And she says, listen, you need to ring an ambulance. Now, I picked up my phone, I ran and got my phone, come back, and has anyone ever tried to use a phone in an emergency? A smartphone? I couldn't find the keypad. I was like, I could check Facebook, I could look at Instagram, I could do everything else, but could I find that keypad? I could not. I eventually asked Siri, and Siri found it for me, and I dialed 999. I was like, no, that's not, 911. It's like, no. She went, 000, you pommy fucking prick. She's Western Australian. I was like, oh yeah. So 000. So I know we don't hold phones like this anymore, but just for dramatic effect. Hello, emergency services. I was like, oh, quick, send ambulance. Wife's having a baby, send ambulance. She said, what service do you require? I was like, Coast Guard. I was like, no, I need the ambulance. He says, just putting you through, sir. So he puts me through the ambulance service. The ambulance guy answers, and he says, what's the emergency? He says, what's your address? So I'm like, okay, because my wife's having a baby. He's okay. He says, what's your address? I says, well, my address. Tells him my address. I tells him my suburb. He says, what state you're in? I was like, I'm in a terrible state. My wife is about to have a baby. Can you just send it? He said, no, sir. What state in Australia you're in? I was like, oh, I'm in Perth. Why'd you ask? He said, because after midnight we go national. I was like, oh, where are you based? He says, Canberra. I was like, okay, how long's that been going on for? He says, about 2 years now. And then the wife's like, is the ambulance on it? On its way. I was like, oh, no, please, send an ambulance. He said, okay, it's on its way, sir. He said, look, just put me on speakerphone and I'll be able to help you through this situation. I was like, a bit personal, you know. This is He said, no, sir, I will be able to help you. So puts it on the edge of the bath, puts it on speakerphone. He's like, okay, is the baby there? I'm like, that's not really helping. The baby, and my wife shouts out at this time, can I push? And he was like, yeah, if you want. At that point, I thought, I'm going to switch you off that speakerphone. You're absolutely useless. So anyway, he's like, but what you need to do, when mum pushes and baby's head appears, you need to support it. I was like, okay, I can do this. So she pushed, and this beautiful little head come out. And in my head, I just wanted to start going, baby's head, baby's head, baby's head. Because that's the only way I know to support something, to be honest. And he was blue, and he's the same colour as my team, so it all fits. So I supported this little beautiful head, and then she was like, I'm gonna push. I'm like, yeah, push. So she pushed, and these two beautiful arms come out, and then she was like, I can't hold on. And I'm not lying, guys, but she pushed, and he shot out like a slippery eel, to be honest. Now, we think he went round the plug hole a couple of times, and he may have hit his head on the hot water tap. Because he's got a little H just there. Now, has anybody ever tried to pick up a slippery eel? So we had 2 pairs of hands, 4 hands spinning this poor little bug around in circles. And I'm spinning around. I'm like, what are we going to do? And we're grabbing. Now, at this point, when I reflect back, I thought, the guy on the end of the phone could have said, get a couple of towels. You know what I mean? That's like probably the most... If anyone's going to have a baby tonight or go away, or comes into contact with someone having a baby, towels. That's the best advice I can give you. So this little fella's spinning around, and 4 hands trying to grab hold. And I'm not going to lie to you, once I got hold of him, it was like a scene out of The Lion King. I lifted him up in the air, I was like, hey, what's going on? And at that point, my wife went, what the hell are you doing? The umbilical cord! Now, it turns out umbilical cords aren't as stretchy as what you think. And especially when it's been wrapped around the baby a couple of times. So I was at that point, like, oh, okay. And then I stood there, and she lay there. And I was like, what do we do? And I was like, yeah, it's yours. I hold my hands up to that, I did. And my wife fiercely just went into action. He was blue, he was grey for about 10 seconds, and then he started to fill with colour, and he started to cough and breathe and fart. And he was there, he was alive, and she put him straight onto her chest, and the bonding began. Again, at that point, our towels would have been good, to be honest, because it was the middle of July, and it was freezing cold in our bathroom. So anyway, so she's in the bath like that. Like, okay, this is all good. I'm calming down. Then we sort of went a bit quiet, and then the guy was like, oh, he's all okay. The ambulance will be there soon. I was like, okay, he's calm down. And then we had a moment where we were just looking at each other, and then we hears, I was like, who's knocking at the house at 2 o'clock in the morning? What's going on? And Claire says to me, it'll be the ambulance. Okay. So I runs down the corridor, does a right, opens up the front door, and there's 2 ambulances there. There's 2 ambulance crews and 2 ambulances, and I'm standing there, and the ambulance guy says to me, you look a bit shocked, you're okay? And I was like, have I got to pay for 2 ambulances? I'm new to Australia. He was like, no, sir, it's okay. When there's a baby involved, we send one for mum and one for the baby. And with that, they just piled past me and I don't know where they knew our bathroom was, but they found it really quickly, to be honest. And as a side note, my son's got a beautiful older sister, who's going to be, and is a strong woman. And she was in bed and she slept all the way through this. The night before, she woke up because she could hear the rain. Didn't hear her dad screaming. Mum was fine. I was screaming. So anyway, the Ambos, they come in, they get into our small little bathroom, and I'm trying to get back into the bathroom. They're like, Dad, you've done a great job. You need to go and get some hot water and towels. Now, that's where the advice should have been given like a couple of minutes earlier. So anyway, I think, oh, great idea. Put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, get some towels. So I heads back down, and I comes back with towels, and I'm there, and I'm trying to get back into the bathroom. Now, what they're doing, the Ambos are doing a great job. The few injections going on, getting ready to cut the umbilical cord, but they won't let me back in the bathroom. I'm like, look, no, I really need to get into the bathroom. And they're like, no, sir, you've done everything, just let us take over. Now, what they didn't know was I could spot my phone, my new iPhone, just bouncing on the edge of the bath. Now, I don't know if anyone's experienced childbirth, but there was a lot of fluid and bodily things in the bath. Didn't drain as well as we expected, but true story, it was all there. And I was thinking, if that phone goes in the bath, not even rice is fixing that, to be honest. So I managed to work my way in. I'm not the smallest of people, and I worked my way in, and the guy was like, what do you want? I was like, just want my phone, just want to record this, fantastic memory. Gets it, and sneaks out. And this is the fearless bit, and this is the bit, my beautiful wife, she'd just given birth in the bath like it was nothing. And when I spoke to her later on and said to her, what was going through your mind? And she was like, I was just thinking, this is going to hurt, and it didn't. So that was great. But when I got stitched up by the doctor, 3 hours later, she went, that was fucking terrible. So she was just obviously waiting to expect something, and it never happened, and she was fearless. But the most fearless thing was, and the funniest thing was she was standing there, obviously, with a bit of a house coat on, covered in our son and everything else, and she was like to the Ambo, can I just get a quick shower? Can I just get a quick shower? And the Ambo was like, no, we really need to get into this wheelchair, and we need to get you and your son in the ambulance just to get you to hospital and check you out. She was like, you know what? I'm getting a shower. Take the boy, take the man, go. I'll come in already. And he said, look, I'll make a deal. You can just stick your bum in and hose yourself down. And she was like, that's a deal. And that's my story. Thank you so much for listening.